Good evening, Royal We family. I am so happy that you are here. Happy Monday night to you. I hope that you had a fantastic weekend. I'm going to go ahead and get started here. I'm going to wait just a few moments to let people sign on. Tanya is always the first person to sign on. Let's see if Tanya is going to go ahead and jump on there first. I'm guessing it's going to be Tanya or D-Doll. I won't stop now. Welcome to the Royal We Live. This is the live segment of the Royal We. Every Monday night, we're here to talk about narcissistic abuse, healing from narcissistic abusive relationships, toxic relationships, and trauma. That's what we're going to be talking about tonight. The telephone number is right behind me. Use that telephone number. Those of you who would like to call and chat, we're here for you and to talk about some of the issues. So do not hesitate to call at any time. Shelly, you made it. Yes. D-Doll, the first to like. Thank you. Someone's number 2 to like. I'm glad. Brian Torrance, how are you? Cheryl, how are you? Howdy, 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 howdy. Bear, beat her this. You did. You beat Tanya, D-Doll. You beat Tanya. That's her. There's Tanya. Tanya's coming in at a close. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A close fifth. Tanya, that's awesome. You're still in the final running. It's so good to see all of you. I'm so happy that you're here. We're going to talk about some good things on the episode tonight about narcissistic abuse and healing from narcissistic abuse. Understanding. Turn that music down a little bit. We're rocking out, huh? Talk more about what the Bible has to say. I'm really on a kick right now about what the Bible has to say about narcissistic abuse. Loving your enemies. For those of you who just caught today's Organic Royal We video on on loving your enemies. On loving your enemies. I bet you not a whole lot of people looked at it in that way, right? How many of you have looked at that biblical principle of loving your enemies and really took a consideration of narcissism and narcissistic abuse and said, oh my gosh, narcissists fit that category, that makes them enemies. And when you start to look at it this way, you start to realize that the more you're trying to get involved with them and win them over, it's like trying to fit in with your enemies. You can't do that. It's not what the Bible says to do, right? All right. And so with that, I'm excited to be here. Happy Monday night. I had a great time putting that video together. I have another video for you Wednesday. And then I also have another meme video for you Friday. Yes, memes. I'm enjoying doing the memes. I would like to continue doing narcissistic memes. If you can, keep the memes coming on the Facebook support group, Instagram, wherever you can contact me. You come across a nice meme, send it my way. It's something that's worth talking about. Thank you, Brian, for liking that video. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm getting a lot of good use out of the drone. As you can see, I actually only used, for the video that I uploaded today, I only used a small amount of the drone footage that I actually took. I took a lot of drone footage. I'm telling you, that Royal We drone is constantly in the skies above St. Louis. And, yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying it. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started with tonight's episode. While everybody is meeting and greeting, why don't you reach out, say hello to somebody who signed in. Give them a hello. Tell them that they're awesome and welcome them to the Royal We live stream every Monday night. This is the place. It's a gathering. This is where most of everybody from the Facebook support group is here to gather, to talk, to share. And I know you all have your own thing going on in the Facebook support group, but you're welcome to call in and talk at any time. I have gone ahead. I put the telephone number up here right behind me, so it's always on. I'm sorry, not the Facebook Live, but the Royal We Live is here to answer questions, to talk about issues, to bring things up. I'm going to be keeping my eye on your chat to see what's going on, answer any questions, try to chime in on what you're talking about, share a little bit about the Royal We. I'm so grateful that you all are here. Like I said with the Royal We, I'm trying to get some creative challenges going on. I hope you like that aspect of the Royal We videos too, because the goal is to get everybody out there at least once a week doing something really, really cool and pushing yourself. So, you know, that's something that we tend to lose coming out of narcissistic abuse. I lost that, right? So I know what it feels like, where you feel like a piece of you is missing. You feel like something's changed. You're not as outgoing. Now, the part that has changed that needs to stay changed is how you interact with sociopathic people, narcissistic people. Obviously, you don't want to get involved and get too attached. However, going out and doing things that are pushing you and your limits is just A-okay. And that's something that will free you, right? So I'm looking for something to do every single week, and I hope that you are as well. Even small things, And so that's a good. I'm enjoying that. And then also once a week, I'm going to be just talking about an issue with narcissistic abuse. This Wednesday, you can expect a video about what would Jesus do. I want to talk about how Jesus would handle narcissistically abusive people, right? And this is because I know that so many narcissists out there and sociopaths, part of their defense mechanism is to really get on you when you try to confront them on their behavior, on their language. They really try to get in and say, what would Jesus do? And you're judgmental and unconditional love, right? And they say that when you're not even mad. You're just saying, hey, listen, let's not call each other names. Well, what about unconditional love? Okay, it's just weird. Why, narcissist, are you making everything so weird? Just stop with the bad behavior and stop trying to make people have unconditional love towards your weird bad behavior. That's just what I want to tell them all. So that's going to be this Wednesday. And then Friday, we're going to be talking about I'm sorry, I lose my focus because I'm checking out the chat. Friday, we're going to be doing more memes. And this Friday morning, I actually am going to be uploading a meme that's narcissistic memes. So I pulled memes based on what I've seen in my own experience that typical narcissists will use and throw up on their social media. It's the type of memes you see when a narcissist has just been left, when somebody's had enough or when somebody's confronting them. It's typical that narcissists will throw a meme up there on their social media. I've seen it, and some of them are very weird. And so I'm anxious to show them with you. Some of them you've probably seen. I don't know, maybe some of them you've used because some of them are pretty popular. I don't know. If you've used them, perhaps you just didn't see them through the perspective I'm going to be talking about them. So that's going to be Friday. All right. And with that, let's go ahead and get started with tonight's topic. We're going to continue on. Since I'm on this kick right now, we're going to continue with chatting about the biblical understanding of loving your enemies, right? I'd like to answer any questions or talk about that, bring that up into this community for those of you who watch the video, and your thoughts on that principle of loving your enemies. How many of you, just raise your hand, you can raise your hand where you're sitting right now, how many of you have taken that principle of love your enemies and really just kind of left out the enemy part and just focused on the love part, because that's typically what churches or what people will want to focus on is just the love part and kind of ignore what it's really implying, right? And the implication is that you have enemies. And we fail to see that. We typically get stuck at just the love, and we then cut off that whole principle in half, right? And we just stick with the love part, and we go about our life ho-humming along, loving everybody, sprinkling rainbow and sunshine and lollipops and just sprinkling everywhere, right? And we get into this world where we got these rosy goggles on because we're this love bug, and we come across narcissistically abusive people, and it reminds us of this evil that exists that we stopped paying attention to, and we see love fail, right? How many of you have seen your love fail? Obviously, that's why you're here. I have too. And I really grew tired of arguing about this, because I would argue with pastors, the churches that I would go to, when I would tell them my love is failing. Well, how do you know? Maybe you haven't given it long. No. These people, they get angrier the more love you show, right? And they really do. For those of you who you know this, dealing with narcissistically abusive people, the key things that seem to really upset them is, number one, when you try to get them to account for what they've done or said. And I'm not trying to talk about just a huge old long dialogue. I just mean a simple, yes, I called you names, I shouldn't have done that, I'm sorry. Trying to get them to do that, it's like you might as well hit your head against a wall a bunch of times, right? It's the same pain, and it's getting you absolutely nowhere. Okay. The second thing that gets them really upset is when you are happy. What's interesting about this is I actually watched an interview with a sociopath today, and one of the things that the sociopath admitted when it comes to the mind of narcissistically abusive people and sociopaths is they really get annoyed. They get annoyed. He indicated that they get annoyed with two things. The first thing is when people are very sad. When people are very sad, when they take something the wrong way and get sad, this annoys sociopaths. They get annoyed by that. Bothered. Why are they so sad? Why are they so sad? Then he indicated also that they're equally annoyed. This guy says that he gets equally annoyed when somebody is overly excited. So, when you win something, you're excited, you got this award, and even me, for example, because I have that personality. I love to get excited about new things, and I never realized it, but that excitement really rubs narcissistic, sociopathic people the wrong way. They are genuinely annoyed. They look at that, and their attitude, from what he explained, is like, why are you so excited? But it's not like, I'm curious why they're so excited, let me find out. It's more like, why are you so excited? I hate that. It's so annoying. So annoying. This is their mind. I look at that as being kind of wicked. It's a really wicked thing, Who would look at someone else and say, why are they so excited? I'm reminded of that when I worked at a bar. I think I've told you this story many times. I worked at a bar in California, and there was an evening where I was covering for a girl that typically worked behind the bar. And, when you work in a bar, you get customers who come just to see you because you're the bartender. I had that. I had a lot of people, girls and whatever, they'd come just because they want to hang out with you because you're serving them drinks. And it was weird. Oh, we got a telephone call, but hang on. We got a phone call from, give me 1 second, okay? I'll be right with you and finish the story. At any rate, some guy walked in, and he was expecting to see the girl that is usually there behind the bar, and she wasn't there. I was there. So I greeted him with a smile. Welcome. All right, what can I get you? And he sat down for a minute, looked at me for a minute. I could tell he was thinking about getting something to drink, but then he just said, nah, never mind. He didn't like the way I was smiling or whatever. And he literally said, what gives you the right to be so happy? Or something like that. Or what the F are you so happy about? And had this scowl on his face, stood up, kicked the stool back, stormed out, said some other expletive words on his way out. It's like, okay. He was really angry. Angry maybe because the girl that he was hoping was working wasn't. Angry because I was happy. It could have been a number of reasons, but it's just weird, man, when you realize that narcissistically abusive people, sociopaths, don't like your extreme emotions. Whether you're happy or sad, they can't stand it. Fascinating. Fascinating. Maybe that's why Gray Rock does work in some situations. We got our first caller. You're live on the Royal We.
Hello, Kevin. This is Antonio Silva from Pennsylvania.
Antonio, what's going on?
It's better. Doing better.
Good.
Praise God.
Good.
So, how are you?
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Well, first of all, I just want to express appreciation and again speak divine appointment or God's timing for your upload this afternoon, this morning. Today. That was, I am so grateful that even in the aftermath or within my time of who I involved myself with, that I searching for answers, searching for insider knowledge. I came across your station. I came across the Royal We family because it has been such a encouragement and help. And
right.
Today's video falls right in line with that too.
Good.
Even to the point of the account you referenced about the Canaanite woman interaction with Jesus.
Right.
I happen to struggle with that from time to time, just wondering, Jesus's interaction or how he responded to her. And
well,
I'm surprised it out in that perspective. It really opened my eyes up.
Well, I had to do a little bit of look into that situation, but not only that, but you look at I had to look into the Canaanite people, right? And if you go back to the Old Testament, they were part of the groups of people that God instructed others his people to completely wipe out, right? So we're talking about a completely different, and that's a side note on biblical history and understanding the groups of people and the tribes and this and that, and trying to get into and understand the evilness and the wickedness of certain pagan cultures and pagan religions. And Canaanites were amongst the top, and they were viciously hostile towards Jewish people, towards Israel. So I attribute viciousness to narcissistic abuse, because when you deal with narcissists, you come face to face with this viciousness where they attack you. They attack your character. And so the story of the Canaanite woman really put this in perspective. To see this abusive person from an abusive culture of people who on the daily, on the average, would be there to only throw rocks, to throw nasty words, to physically assault, to physically fight, to spit hate, and to Canaanite people, they probably wouldn't hesitate to kill Jewish people just to do it, right? So to see this take place now you have this woman, this Canaanite woman, saying, "Please help." So I really put in the perspective of, well, how would you and I respond if the narcissistically abusive people in our life who have assaulted us with their words, many of you watching this have been physically assaulted. Many of you have been, you know what I mean, slapped, hit, had things. Raise your hand if a sociopathic narcissist ever threw anything at you. They've thrown something at me. Just got irritated one moment at something I did and literally threw something at me. It's an act of physical aggression. So to automatically see this person now saying, "Please help me, please do something for me." I mean, how would you respond? How would you know? Is it real? Is it fake? Is it a setup? What are you gonna? Are your friends, your goony friends, gonna jump out and attack me? What is this? And so I think what Jesus was showing and displaying. I mean, obviously Jesus knew her heart the whole time, but Jesus also knew in the culture. Listen, don't just turn around and help everybody who's demanding it, because you don't know, you never know what it is they're really trying to do. So that was the point.
Motives could be
right. You don't know what the motives and the intentions, and so. The questioning of the Canaanite woman, the firing back at her. It's not right for me to give to the children of what to the dogs, right?
Right.
I think he was testing. What are you here for?
Well,
what are you here for? Are you here to cause problems, or are you here because you're desperately really in need? And what's interesting is she had proven and shown she's desperately in need, and her guard is down, her arms are down. She's not there to hurt anybody, and I think that wasn't so much for Jesus to prove something for himself. I think that was a display for us,
of course,
and for the disciples to learn something.
Especially,
This is how you handle abusive, toxic people when you're unsure and they're coming back around saying, I need something. Don't give in. Don't be so quick. And I'm talking to somebody right now. I'm talking to all of you in your empathic ways. Don't be so quick to be saying, "Oh, here I am to help you," and try to be the savior. Because many of us who do that so fast to try to become the savior, we get burned. We get tied up in something we shouldn't be tied up in. Hope that makes sense.
For sure. So that was, definitely. That does make sense. So there's some, it was just very inspiring and influential, and basically, again, eye-opening in that regard. It kind of clarified and gave me a little more honed in on that particular account that I've come across plenty of times in the study of the Bible, and I just, that makes sense now. You can give in the biblical context about the culture. Yeah, so that was very helpful indeed. The video overall was helpful, interestingly enough, you're making a mention. You referenced the idea that I heard that plenty of times about unconditional love. I have a different, and I trust. I watch a few other. I use my time to really gather up knowledge. So I take in a lot of videos, including yours. And there's this notion about unconditional love, and I'm like, well. And like that's supposed to be something to be sought out. I think, well, there still have to be boundaries, and I don't know about. Unconditional agape. I can be without, make sure that people show that they are coming with good intentions and no ulterior motives. Okay, you could be agape. I appreciate that.
Right.
I mean, I'm not too keen about unconditional love because I remember plenty of how you want to say arguments or contentions and the thing. Well, you gotta love unconditional. Like, well, wait a minute. Like, so you're gonna keep treating me like this? You're gonna keep speaking like this?
Right.
And
right.
I'm supposed to unconditionally love you in the face of that. There's nothing reciprocal happening here, you know. So that's one aspect. The thing that you also mentioned about your intent and plan to post up memes that typically narcissists.
Yes,
I've noticed that now. I've noticed that now with her because I've referenced that there was attempts by her, and hey, it would be to my peril if I did not know this. Is she's trying to manufacture, orchestrate while she was navigating around this area where she doesn't belong because this is not her. This is not her area. However, now that subsided, I praise God for that. I weathered the storm, hunkered down in my little bunker in my room, and just did not engage with that. Just to say, I at least was aware, not contacting her about it. Now I see some of these memes, and it's just like, okay, the departure of reality is so what she's posting as opposed to what she's really about. Again, the detachment from reality is just, it's kind of mind-boggling.
Right.
It's right. However, that's whatever. Again, as long as she, again. For the most part, they don't move on because in order to move on, you have to be able to take accountability so you can grow. Move laterally, so be it, so long as you lead me to my life and I lead you to yours.
Right.
Post whatever you want. And the other thing, and again, I guess I'll leave you with this question, Benny, for you to opine upon and then go from there. I've also heard this idea that this notion, or I guess is dual in the sense that, give me a moment to gather myself here. That narcissists think in black and white, and I've heard the concept also that it's, even though I do agree that they are presenting a false portrayal. I've heard that, and I think you've said this too on occasion. That okay, then the mask comes off, and I'm like, I kind of think about this, and I'm like, well, I know once the time comes where they go 180. Their defenses come up and their defense mechanisms, and they're all about their deflecting and projecting and their gaslighting and their blame shifting. I kind of think of it the other way is like, well, if the mask, I mean, if they're going up with the defenses and the defenses go up, I kind of think like their mask, their fake self really, because they're putting their mask on, like they can't sit there and show their vulnerability. I don't know. I mean, just an observation from my experience. So I guess perhaps maybe if you could, I would appreciate if you could address the idea of them thinking in black and white. And I'm thinking to myself, I remember how many times she used to sit there and get on me for thinking about, well, what is unto righteousness? What is unrighteous? What is good and what is evil? What is right and what is wrong? Where right and wrong was arbitrary to her. It was shifting on a daily basis. It was moral relativity. So I don't see how that, and I've heard others kind of opine about that. So, and before I do go, I was wondering, would you be opposed, before I hang up and allow you to and anticipate your answers on that, would you be opposed to me praying with you? Because I just want to thank you for your, and give glory to God for just the blessing and the help that you've been. Would you be
well,
all right
for the sake of time to keep the show going? Okay. I would prefer just pray, silent, pray in your own own space,
no
right?
Problem.
No but problem. I appreciate that. I really do. I really do.
I will keep you in prayer. I keep all who will be receptive to the prayer. I would lift up to God for their healing and their continual growth, and for just let me express that they growth and prospering for you, continuing to blessing others, because you are doing a great service and a great ministry has been bestowed upon you. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Take care and be well. All the Royal We family.
You too. Thank you, Antonio.
Thank you.
All right. Yes. To answer some of the questions I saw pop up, Carrie Fatino, am I taking questions? Absolutely. Post your question there in the chat, or you can call and ask your question live on the telephone. The phone and number is right behind me, up on the screen. This is all about answering your questions and talking about what it is you want to talk about. So Antonio tonight asked a good question about right and wrong, black and white thinking when it comes to dealing with narcissistically abusive people, because it's typical that what it seems like is happening is you and I start to have black and white thinking, right? We know the difference between right and wrong, moral and immoral, and we start to draw hard boundaries and hard lines. And narcissists will point that out and say that's judgmental and selfish and this and that. Narcissists and sociopaths do black and white thinking as well. They do something even worse, though. They do what's called splitting. And the way in which narcissistically abusive people, sociopathic people go about it is they will pick something out, though, that's not wrong, nothing inherently wrong. But through splitting, meaning that in their mind, there is a way which things should be done, and anything else is a hard enemy. Hard enemy. It's called splitting. And it can be anything from a simple argument. So, for example, if you are a Republican and a narcissist is a Democrat, they should not think you are all 100% wrong because you are a Republican, but they do. Because they do what's called splitting, they look at the fact that you are a Republican and they look at everything you do as being wrong. So that's the difference between black and white thinking. From a moral standpoint, like you and I, we tend to have black and white thinking. This is wrong. This is morally wrong. Let's not call people names. Let's not cuss people out. And that's it. You only talk about that one aspect, right? So if you're dealing with a narcissist and they're calling you names and cussing at you, you want to look at them and say, listen, calling me names is not right. That's morally wrong. That's bad. That's bad for the relationships. It's toxic. Stop doing that. That one thing. You do what the Bible says to do. Look at the sin. It's the sin that's bad. It's the calling names that's bad. It's not you. It's not the narcissist. It's the name calling. This needs to stop. Okay? Narcissists and sociopaths, however, what they do is if you do something bad, they take all of you as being bad. It's not the fact that they don't just disagree with you that you're a Republican. They disagree with you that you exist because you're a Republican. Does this make sense? This is the difference. This is the difference. Hey, you're live on the Royal We.
Hey, Kevin.
How are you?
I'm good.
What's going on,
going
Shelly?
through the same stuff. Hey, I was glad to join the community. I did say, like donkey, jackass, and got in trouble from a few of your moderators. Sorry, dude.
You got in trouble from the moderators?
Yeah, I'm saying jackass on your text, but to me, I guess it's not a cuss word. I just noticed it anymore.
So how are you? What's going on?
I'm good. I had to go back in and like finish this off somehow because it's an ongoing thing, and
Yeah.
it's like funny how you meet somebody and it ends up like a big nightmare like this, and I have to be away from my children on the 2-2-5 split, which is tough on the kids, you know.
Right.
And,
It's hard.
It's amazing. It amazes me like that people really are like that, you know.
Yeah.
And go in to make you look or feel, you know. It's the first time I've been on them. Oh man, there's quick to correct. I'm sorry, dude. I still don't. Maybe I'm wrong. If you would have told me I'm wrong, how I put that text, you're gonna go back and look at it.
I'll have to look at it because I don't recall it right now.
Yeah, let me know.
All right.
Anyway, I appreciate the support and the commonality here because it all seems very similar all the way around.
Yes.
But here, my divorce will be final in about 5 days or so, or less actually. And I can't believe I can't clean it up, get what's mine, and just move on with my life.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard.
And I see my children suffering that direction. It's very tough, you know.
Right. It is hard. Keep up the good fight. Keep strong. Stay involved in the community. Watch the words that you put in there.
Generally, I do. I just thought that was very quick. You know what I mean? Wouldn't have been noticed. Maybe it wouldn't have been noticed if I wouldn't have said anything either. But
I hear you.
I kind of joined in, and I just said, magical. I said one thing. It's just it's like very quick, but I don't mind being corrected or criticized. It's just like
right. Yeah, I hear you.
I've tried to join in for several weeks. It's the first time I've been able to get in.
Well, I'm glad you're here.
Yeah.
Well,
my son's usually with me on Monday.
All right. Well, Shelly, I'm glad you called. I want to get into some questions here. We have some people in the group writing, asking some questions. So we're going to get into that.
For you, but I did have one for you, but I'll let you go too. Thanks.
All righty. Thank you, Shelly. All right. Let's get Donovan asked a good question here as well. I'm going to go ahead and answer that before I lose it, because sometimes the chat questions, they just move. They keep moving up. It's hard to keep up with them. Let's see. I believe it was collective narcissism versus gang stalking, right? So collective narcissism, I actually have a lot of experience with collective narcissism because it's what I experienced. Typically, narcissists, they tend to start through smear campaigns and not gaslighting, but smear campaigns. They tend to start to build a army around them. Typically, it could be their own family and friends. And what's really scary about this is that, say their whole family and friends invite you in. You become friends with all of them, and they all are great to you. They think you're great. You think they're great. Something happens. The narcissist or the sociopath goes into their split thinking mentality. You have an argument. You have a fallout. And because you had that one little argument, now all of you is bad to the narcissist. Your whole person. This is when you get into every small thing becomes an argument with the narcissist. Like, you can walk outside and say, oh, look, the sky is blue. And they're going to argue with you and say, nuh-uh, it's red, you effing ignorant person. Anybody can plainly see that the sky is red. You don't know SHIT, right? That's my impression of how narcissists sound, because they really do get that ridiculous oftentimes. And you all know what I'm talking about. And so since they're doing this and they're so full, they focus their anger and their hatred, and they convince the people around them that you deserve it. You'll start to notice it in them, because narcissists also play victims. I can't believe they're making me feel this way. I can't believe that person's making me, that person is getting on my nerves. I can't stand it. Meanwhile, you're not doing anything. You have no idea what's going on. They're just stewing. Narcissist starts doing, because of their split thinking, because of that one thing that you disagree with, your whole person just burns in their mind. They burn with hatred. And so that spills into everybody else that's around them. Those people start to look at you as a bad person. I mean, after all, they're thinking, wow, so-and-so is so upset. They must be horrible, right? So you're going to start to see the collective narcissism take place. This is typical of narcissistic families. Another thing I've noticed with narcissistic families is that typically the dynamic is a hierarchy in families or gangs. And within that gang or within that family, they'll fight amongst each other for ranks and stuff like this. What I personally experience is that when you go into that family as an outsider, what happens is you become a target that they actually can all come together against. And it seems to me that for a narcissistic, sociopathic family dynamic or gang type of family, it's an amazing thing that they are able to come together on agreement of something, right? They feel like this is amazing, how powerful we for once are united as a family instead of tearing each other apart for status within the family. We're together. The problem is for you, the outsider, because they're together on one thing. You are a problem. And many people in that narcissistic family hierarchy are so afraid of being the bottom person in that hierarchy, being the target again, that they will do anything, say anything, start any fights, instigate you in any way to make sure that you stay that bad person. So that way they can have their whole, I guess, loving family as a gang together to focus on you. Does this make sense? In other words, you take a dysfunctional family that hates each other, and all of a sudden, for the first time in years, they love each other. But it's not a real love. It's just a love that says, yeah, we got each other's back because we're a tough gang, and we're going to combine our hostility against you because you're an outsider. You're not one of us. You're trying to change us. You're judging us. You're selfish, right? And this is where things can get really crazy and really hostile and really violent, and everybody in that group is in on it. And in a weird, sick way, they're enjoying it because they're not fighting amongst themselves. They're fighting against you. This is collective narcissism. It's, you know, it's very sad. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. And when they finally destroy that person or get them out of their lives, they fall back into their, well, somebody in the family has to be the bad person again. Okay. So that's how I experience collective narcissism. Gang stalking is kind of similar. The difference, it's actually very similar, but gang stalking is where they not only aggressively come together to fight against you, but they do so proactively by strategically coming after you, coming after your social media. So they'll take turns. Let's take that example I just talked about, the family that's usually dysfunctional, but now comes together to attack you, just so they can feel that wholeness and that love, that being together. It's exciting for them to have a target, someone to take down that's not their part of that family. And so the gang stalking part is where they proactively keep it going. Again, they don't want to let you get far, right? Some of them have been the scapegoats all their life. Some of them have been the at the bottom end of the abuse in that dysfunctional family. So the fact that you're now it, and it's not them, the fact that they're getting along with their family now, or their gang now it's on, and they want to keep that position. So they want to keep everybody excited about you being a target. So they'll start strategically stalking your social media. They'll start fights. They'll instigate. They'll try to provoke you, because they know that if they can get you provoked, get you scared, get you defending yourself, then they can call upon their whole gang, the whole family, and say, look, so-and-so's responding. I got him. Look how mean they are. Let's get him. Ah! That's gang stalking. And it's real sad, heartbreaking. Best thing to do, collective narcissism or gang stalking, get the heck out. Just get as far away from that dynamic as possible. If you're not around, then you can't be their target. Period, end. If you are trying to fit in, trying to change the situation, trying to calm them down, trying to bring peace, just know that you're up against decades of a dysfunctional family that has abuse within it, that for the first time is coming together in agreement. So you trying to bring a different idea to a family or this tribal group that is now getting along, oh, no, it will never happen. Never happen. That would be like convincing them that they should break up as a gang or as a family and start fighting amongst each other again. That's exactly what you would sound. You can go in there and say, let's all be at peace. But what they'll hear is, you guys should stop your coming together. You should stop your tribal community. You should break it all apart and go back to how it was, where you were fighting amongst each other. That's what they're hearing, right? So that's why you'll never win with that. And I learned, I've seen that happen. Hope that this makes sense to you. A great question. Thank you for that. See, what other questions do we have in here from the Facebook group? Let's see. That's them. I see a lot of people agreeing. Yeah, Kevin, happened to me twice. I called the extras peripheral narcs overwhelming. It is overwhelming. Especially when you don't see it coming. You don't understand it. To you, it seems like people who you thought cared for you. You thought you got along with them, and you come to find out that nope. Once they all saw that they can get along with their own and turn against you, it's real bad. It can be real bad. So that's collective narcissism. I had a phone call this evening with an individual who was talking about their experience with their narcissist, and the narcissist can actually talk their own family, not the victim's family, into taking their sides. That wouldn't be considered gang stalking or collective narcissism. That's more of just a smear campaign. You probably, unless you do already have that dynamic in your own family, you probably wouldn't have to worry about a narcissist talking to your family and friends saying, let's get them. It's not going to work that way. Narcissists typically, when they smear you, when they're doing a smear campaign against you, and they're including your friends and your family, typically they're coming across as very sweet. They're coming across as the victims, okay? So they're not trying to form a group or rally a gang against you. What they're doing is just saying how rough it is to know you. They're doing nothing but trying to love, but they're you, and they don't understand why you're mad all the time. You've changed. This is typical narcissist language. I don't understand. They've changed. They're not the same person. When I met them, they were so kind. Now they're complaining all the time. They're just giving me a hard time. And I don't know what to do. I'm just at my wit's end. I can't go on like this. This is the type of nonsense that narcissists say. So they will go from cussing you out, calling you names, to contacting your family member saying, I just don't know what to do anymore. I'm at my wit's end. I'm having such a hard time. They're just they're just not happy, and I can't make them happy. You know what I mean? That's what they sound like. It's really bad. So, but that's triangulation. Thank you, Tanya. Yes, that's triangulation. Okay. That's not the same. Triangulation is not the same as the gang stalking or the collective narcissism. It's just triangulation. What it does do is put your family and friends and even you in a very uncomfortable situation because they don't know who to believe. They don't. Again, narcissistic sociopaths are excellent at hiding their abuse. They do it in a way to where it's highly targeted, and then they will play the victim in front of your family. Without your family and friends being able to see exactly what's going on, they have a really tough, obviously what you would hope is that your family would know you well enough to be like, that doesn't sound like so-and-so at all, right? But narcissists they do a really crazy job of doing that. I was watching an episode of Johnny Depp. I don't know if many of you saw this, but Johnny Depp, the famous actor, was having a meltdown. The woman, his girlfriend or wife, whoever at the time was filming it, he was going nuts. And it was an effort to slam and a lot of it to smear Johnny Depp's name. Look at Johnny Depp. He's yelling and, is this what you want? Spilling alcohol and this and that. And it makes Johnny Depp look like he's crazy, right? And I saw that. I'm like, wow, maybe he has lost his mind. But then I saw some other videos of people talking who knew Johnny Depp saying, that's not him. That's very weird. He doesn't act like that. And since I'm in this arena of narcissistic abuse, myself and some others right away are able to point out that chick he's with is doing some bad stuff. That's some narcissistic, sociopathic juju that Johnny Depp has had to deal with, and he's losing his mind over it. That's exactly what we saw, because that's what it does. Anyways, listen, I'm going to call it a night tonight because I'm about to run out of the battery. So listen, I will talk with you all later. Have a great evening, and I will see you next Monday night live on the Royal We. All right, good night, everybody.